Hello, welcome to the last part of the lecture on financial economics. So, how to build a portfolio? There are 4 steps you need to follow. First is determining your risk tolerance, then find out the right purpose for your portfolio, and then find out how much of the money, your money should be invested in, what risk level investments, and lastly, find the particular investment instruments and buy them. First step would be determine the risk tolerance, and there are many companies out there that provide various questionnaires to do that. I provided a link to one of those companies which happened to be my old company where I worked as a financial advisor. So you can use their questionnaire if you'd like and find out your risk level. Secondly, you match your risk level to your investment span, which is the length of the years until the time that you plan on using your money, which should be and typically is the retirement age, which is 65 in this country. So if you're a 20-year-old and your retirement age is 65, that means your investment span is 45 years. So then you find 45-year investment span with the risk level that you found out in the first step at a table like the one that I provide a link here, and that gives you the purpose of your portfolio. And then you simply find out what percent of your money should be invested in what type of investments according to the purpose that you found out in the second step. Again, I provide a link here for you to figure this out, this simple portfolio creation exercise. And lastly, you go to your account in your online broker and find individual investments that are high quality investments as we explained before, and then buy them using your money and start building your portfolio. And more importantly, put money into it every month as you save money so it grows faster and faster, and then do portfolio reviews and you'll be good to go. Opening an investment account, if you are under the age of 18, then you can open one with your parents' permission. It's called a custodial account. If you're over the age of 18, which most of you are, then no parental approval is needed. Investment accounts, IRAs are the most common types. They stand for individual retirement account. They are a tax advantage type of retirement account. So because of tax advantages, the US government caps the amount of money that you can put into it every year, called contributions. Contribution limit for year 2020 is $6,000 a year. So you should always open an IRA first and then put $6,000 of your savings into it first. And then if you have any money left over that in your savings, then open a brokerage account to continue, which doesn't offer any tax advantages. It's just a simple investment account. So to open an account, you just simply go to an online brokerage account such as eTrade.com, TD Ameritrade, Scottrade, or Fidelity. There are a number of them out there. Just and simply click on open an account link and then follow the instructions, and just within a few minutes you would have your account open. If you instead want a financial advisor manage your investments and do everything we've discussed so far, so then you need to go to a company like Edward Jones or Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch, or perhaps your local credit union or bank, and tell them that you'd like to open a brokerage account or an investment account, and they will help you with it. One thing you need to be careful about is the Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes are those fraud type of investment schemes where a fraudster collects investors' monies to supposedly invest those monies on their behalf. And then he turns around and just puts the money in his own bank account. And then when some of the members want to liquidate their accounts, the fraudster actually gives the cash from his own account to them, just to create the illusion that it's a real business and real investments. and then but when times are bad, the economy is bad, and everybody rushes to liquidate their investments, then there's the Ponzi schemer cannot do this any longer, and then he just simply takes off, and in that case, the investors cannot get their monies back. This idea is one of the oldest type of frauds in the financial sector, and you should be very careful. And by being careful, I mean just simply open an account with reputable businesses who have been around for a while. The largest Ponzi scheme in history was concluded a few years ago, and a gentleman by the name Bernie Madoff found guilty of embezzling $65 billion from about 5,000 American individuals and businesses, which is an enormous sum, largest in known human history, and he is in prison currently. They made movies out of his life and his Ponzi scheme, so I included a short documentary over here for your review. Please check this video. It is very important then that you understand Ponzi schemes so you protect yourself. Lastly, we'll discuss real estate investing. So this involves investing money in a house or a business, but we'll mostly discuss buying houses for this purpose. And here the idea is in so-called investment properties. So not buying a house for you to live in, but buying a house for renting it out to someone else and earning rental income and some appreciation from the or increase in the house value sometime later when you sell back the house. Those two would be your returns. And so what happens is that you typically pay only 20% of the house's price out of your pocket, called down payment, and the remaining 80% would be paid by a mortgage, and the mortgage would be paid by your rent incomes. So your renter would pay you monthly rent, and you would spend that money to pay the mortgage and other costs of the expenses of the house or the property for you, which are taxes, insurance, and maintenance. This idea is real estate investing, and it has a very, very appealing aspect, which we'll discuss in a few moments. It should be a part of every financially savvy individual's portfolio. Advantage that I explained in the previous slide, which is this one. Please make sure you understand the advantage conveyed in this slide. It is the core of the reason why real estate investing for investment property purchases, that is such a beneficial thing. Another advantage is that home values simply do not fluctuate as much as securities does. Here in this graph, since 1987, you see the stock prices shown in red graph and the red line, and the home prices shown in the black line. You see that there's a general upward trend for both of them, and they somewhat more or less, mimic each other, but the level of fluctuation is observably higher in the stock market, which is the main advantage of the home investing. And then another advantage is that the real estate investing in a way forces investors to adopt a long-term outlook, which, as you would remember from the principles of investing, it's one of the things to do about investing, adopting a long-term outlook. And the reason for that is that most common type of mortgage loans in the US is the 30-year fixed rate loan, so which just naturally drives the investor to adopt a 30-year outlook on the house investing. This is not to say that the house property owner cannot sell his house before 30-year expires. He can, and whatever the value is, he can use that money to pay back the remaining balance on the mortgage and still be in good shape, assuming the house prices rise over time. But that's another advantage which you don't have in the stock market. The fact that it's very easy to buy and sell stocks every day drive people to sell their stocks when times are bad, which totally violates the long-term outlook principle. Another advantage of real estate investing is that it's if a person, an average home buyer in his 30s retires, or by the time he retires in 30, 35 years, then the mortgage would have been paid off because, as I said, the most common type is a 30-year mortgage by then, which means that at retirement, the rent money that will be coming his way will actually be cash available to him because there's no mortgage company for the rent money to go to at that point. So it is an additional retirement income for the homeowner. And the another advantage is that over time the mortgage rate remains same. It's a 30-year fixed mortgage rate, so you pay the exact same amount every single year, every single month for the next 30 years. But because of the impact of inflation, what that money really does mean in terms of real buying power, it goes down as time passes, which is a good thing for you. In other words, if your monthly mortgage payment is $1,000 today, it will be the same for the next 30 years. But let's say 10 years later, a $1,000 per month would be a much smaller amount for you to pay because your income would have risen by the level of inflation. It would be adjusted according to inflation, and you'll be earning much higher incomes in 10 years. So that $1,000 you're paying through the mortgage every month would be a much smaller portion of your monthly income 10 years later. And so this means that passing of time works for your advantage because of this reason. Having said that, real estate investing is not free of drawbacks. The main drawback is that it tends to violate the diversification principle of investing in an unavoidable fashion, simply because investment properties, by logic, have to be located near the investor's own property. So if a person lives in Austin, then his investment properties have to be in Austin. That's what makes most sense, because if it is in Florida or in some other part of Texas, like let's say Dallas, then it would be very inconvenient for the property owner to make frequent trips to cater to the needs of the house, maintenance needs and other things. This is not to say that it's not possible to own houses in other cities, but typically the most convenient and easiest way is to buy investment properties in the same city as where you live. So which means that you'll be tying the future of a good chunk of your money, because real estate investing requires large sums of money, to the same market. So if that market goes down, your whole portfolio would go down. That's the one unavoidable negative aspect of real estate investing.